பால்மழைக்கு காத்திருக்கும் பூமியில்லையா, பண்டிகைக்கு காத்திருக்கும் சௌமியில்லையா, வார்த்தை வர காத்திருக்கும் கவிஞன் இல்லையா, நான் காத்திருந்தால் காதல் இன்னும் நீரும் இல்லையா, கண்ணீரில் தீ வளர்த்து காத்திருக்கிறேன் உன் காலடித்தடத்தில் நான் பூத்திருக்கிறேன். The human need to romanticize yearning and waiting. I was just listening to this song and started to think about how beautiful is that feeling to wait and yearn for someone like that. Oh, to have that never ending love for someone, sort of absolute surrender. It sounds sort of magical. But then when I actually thought about it in a practical sense, it started to seem like literal hell. Because waiting like that can be a very vulnerable thing to do, right? Everything in you will be literally screaming, saying this is going to be completely against your own survival. Yet, where does this need come from to romanticize something so against your own self? It's a horrible coping mechanism, but it still exists nevertheless. I think the part that is attractive about this is the devotion of it. All our lives, we live with so much walls around us, so much anxiety, so much fear, so much questioning, all to just get by and survive. I think there is this inherent part in us that just wants to let go of everything and just exist. And I think that is the absolute purest version of yourself. And to think that most of us don't really get to experience that before we die is horrifying. I went to watch this movie called Kesari a couple of years ago in theaters. They said that it had subtitles, so I thought I would manage and watch it anyways. Sikhism as a concept is truly fascinating to me. I was so taken up by the fact that a religion is putting acts of services to the community over the normal deity centric worships. And I think it makes sense anthropologically as well. It makes so much sense. There's a whole division of anthropology that talks about what kind of religion arises from various environments and survival patterns. So, for example, desert type terrains usually give rise to monotheistic religions, like nomadic pastoralism sort of things, which in simpler terms means like harsher terrains where the resources are very less, religions which surround themselves with a single god forms more. Civilizations or cultures that grow around a river or in the tropical regions where the resources are much more greater than a harsher terrain. They have polytheistic sort of religions where there are multiple gods that will coexist and sometimes even fight with each other about ideologies. It makes sense why those certain types of environment make those certain types of religion, because harsher terrain you need to have that absolutism and more stricter rule format for effectively dividing the resources and making everybody survive, wherein in a more resource filled environment there is ground to comfortably coexist with our opposite views, because every one of us still has the resources to go around. If you take the position of Punjab, it's called the land of five rivers, and it's a great place for a river civilization to do agriculture and develop its resources for themselves. But the huge problem is that India is geographically locked by sea on all the sides, and on the northeast side we have the Himalayas, and the only way for invaders to come in through was through Punjab. So Punjab would be such a amazing land that gives you so much resources, but at the same time it puts you in so much line of constant battles, right? So in that sort of an environment, a culture and a religion that makes life a community survival based instead of egocentric, self-centric survival, because that's the only sane way to survive that sort of pattern. And that being said, like coming back to the movie, so I went to that movie and they had this wonderful song. Even though the movie was subbed, usually the songs are not completely subbed. So this song was going on called Judai Pe Jani. And of course, mind you, I don't know the language at all and I don't know what he's singing about. But just from the context, I understand that he's facing his inevitable end and he's singing to his loved one. And the tone and the context and the music was enough to convey the emotion of that moment to me. When I tell you I wept like a baby in the theater. That moment of absolute surrender, it's worth romanticizing. Even though if it's self destructive, that's the fucked up part. And I don't even think it's a cultural thing or if it's a timeline thing or anything of that sort, because I have been seeing all these reels constantly in Instagram, right? They go like 10 out of 10 place to bleed out and die, or the Ryan Gosling lying on the staircase reels, and that yearning to let go of all walls and face yourself, the most truest, most vulnerable parts of yourself, to be secure enough to have the luxury to lay it all out and just take in that moment. I think that's a very common, most basic yearning in human beings. And I think that is the most beautiful part about devotion. Most of us think that it is foolish whenever we say that person is a devotee. I think it's a foolish maneuver that a person would put something else before themselves. But the beauty and magic and the yearning of your innermost part of your own self, what that is capable of showing you, I don't think no amount of surviving could ever be even remotely close to it. I'm sure a lot of you would disagree with me because we are in a very survivalist type of capitalistic, self centric sort of. Maybe what I'm saying might seem completely foolish to you. But entertain the idea for me for a moment and just think about it. Wouldn't you like to meet yourself in that place? I think I would.